Welcome, everyone, to the call today. Today is a very special day in the subject we're going to be talking about, and over the last couple of weeks, we've been doing a series here on becoming an unstoppable salesperson. We've covered your conscious, your subconscious, 3 stages to a sale, creating a powerful self-image, conquering fear, and performing with confidence under pressure. And although all those things are great and wonderful, and you can learn to master sales, and don't get me wrong, I'm not underestimating the power of everything we taught. Those are all very, very important. But if you do not have character or certain characteristics about you, that alone, you could study, get all the other stuff down, but if business owners don't like you because of bad character or things you're doing, that could be one of the biggest hindrance to the sale more than anything else. So who you are, who you become, how you present yourself is very, very important when it comes to a sales process. So we're going to be getting that today. So let me just start here. Your character and who you are as a person plays one of the most important roles to you being an incredible salesperson. You can have a great product and great prices, but if your potential clients don't like who you are as a person, you can forget being an unstoppable salesperson. I have listed below certain characteristics that play more of an important role in you closing deals than you may ever know. These are also characteristics that you portray in your everyday life. Business owners and clients may never tell you the real reason why they said yes or no. When you get right down to it, the below characteristics are the real reasons why clients say yes or no to most salespeople. These are also characteristics of top professionals in any field. When you master these characteristics, you can turn a no into a yes. So let's just get in. We're going to go in here and list them. And I didn't put them by number because all of them are important. And sometimes when you number something, someone thinks the first one is the most important and the one on the bottom is not. These are all very, very important, so that's why they're not numbered. So we'll just quickly get into them. Being positive, an unstoppable salesperson, always positive in the face of negative situations, can always see the bright side of situations. People like to work with positive people. When you're negative, it puts off a bad vibe, and people can feel it, and it just smells. It's just a bad attitude. It's negative. People don't like it, and that can turn a lot of people off. You're confident. You're sure of oneself, having no uncertainties about your own abilities and successfulness. You are bold as a lion. Now, although you're confident, you're humble. Although bold and confident, there's no arrogance or better than now type of attitudes in an unstoppable salesperson. You're also teachable. You're always learning and very open to corrective criticism from others when learning more about your craft. You're self-motivated. No one has to tell you what to do each day. You know what to do and motivate yourself in the face of all opposition or setbacks. You maintain a daily routine and push yourself. You're also giving. You're not a taker, but you look for ways to give and give back to those you work with. When you're working, when someone is working with you, they can tell what type of person, if you're a giver or a taker, coming in there, and if you're willing to give and give back to them and find ways to give to them, they appreciate that. They don't like working with selfish people. You have integrity. This is doing what's right because it is right all the time, especially when no one is looking. You have soundness in moral character, and you are honest to a fault. So your integrity plays a really, really important role. This is probably one of the highest. Like I said, I didn't number these because they're all very important. But people that integrity has to do with, they use like the integrity of the ship of a hull, how integrity of the hull is, meaning does it leak water. And they're looking, how strong a hull is so a ship can float. And if you have bad integrity, if you have any leaks in there or holes in it, your ship floats and people don't want to do business with you. You're classy. You have a certain style that is admirable in the way you carry yourself with others. This is also being careful about the jokes you make and the attitude you have about the opposite sex. So, you could be in there doing a deal and you're just tasteless, and maybe some of the comments you make, and maybe amongst men, and they might laugh, but in the back of their mind they're going, I don't want to do business with this person. And I've even heard this. I even heard one guy was out there just bragging about how many women he had dated and all this, and then these were all married men. They said, we don't want to work with that guy. He just was classy, and his attitude was just not, someone they didn't want to work with. Down to earth. You can relate well to others. and you're not aloof. I mean, you're just a down-to-earth type person, likable. You're fun. You're able to have fun and be yourself. You don't take everything so serious, and you know how to have a good time. This is really important as a salesperson. You can walk in there and have fun with your job. Have fun with it. Don't just be so serious. You're flexible. Not everything works out the way it was planned. Emergencies happen or unexpected things occur with your clients, and you're flexible and understanding with the clients when it does. This is very important because you never know what's going on in their life. And maybe they're late to a meeting, or maybe they cancel, and you being flexible, maybe they want to change the time, or maybe they want to do it a different way. That flexibility plays a really important role. When someone sees you're not flexible, they won't want to do business with you. They'll be like, you know what, I don't know what's going on with that guy. So you have to be pliable. Here's a big one. You're punctual. You are very respectful of other people's time, and either you show up early, but not too early, like an hour, like 5 to 10 minutes early, or you're right on time. If you're going to be late for some unknown reason, you call and let them know. But you also don't make a habit of being late and calling them. You know what I mean? You could be like, well, I call them every single time. Yeah, but you're making a habit of it. You're doing it all the time. You'd be surprised how being punctual plays a really big role in how you're perceived by your client, especially if it's a first meeting, that first impression. You walking in there and being on time or a little bit early just says a lot to them. Even if they're late, you were there, and that means that you do not want them waiting on you. You also don't want to get there too early and they're not ready for you and you walk in a half hour early. That's not good either. So just being punctual. Honest. You have high standards on always telling the truth. You hate lying. People will know if you're lying. They'll figure out later, like, hey, that person lied, and they won't respect you and want to work with you if they catch you in lies. You're resilient. You are quick to bounce back and don't stay bummed out if you don't get a sale or things don't work out the way you expected. You keep on going without getting down. We were talking, when you're resilient, someone might say no, but you're like, hey, you bounce back, you just keep a good attitude. You still might close that deal just because you didn't get bumped when they said no, because I've even seen it where people said, hey, you know what, come back. What were you selling? And they saw their good attitude. But you're able to bounce back. You don't get bummed out. Also, you got to be careful. Let's say you have 3 to 4 meetings lined up in a day. If the first one doesn't go good and you're not resilient and you have a bummed out attitude, you'll go into the next meeting with that bummed out attitude and they'll pick up on that and they might say no to you just because of how you were bummed out. And so you always want to be positive. You always want to bounce back. You always want to see the brighter thing because people are picking up on this stuff. I always talk about there being 2 conversations in every conversation. And it's true that in conversations, people not only hearing what you're saying, they're also picking up like, wow, this person's, he's nice, they're kind, and this is all the sub-level conversation they're having while you're talking to them, and they're picking up on all this. Another thing is you're hungry. And what I mean by that, you are very hungry for their business. You never get where you could care less if they care less or if they buy or don't buy. You do what it takes to win them over and show them that you want their business. And I've seen sales reps that are just not hungry, so they don't go the extra mile, they don't do what it takes, and a lot of business owners don't want to work with that. So keeping that hunger about you, even if you're making a lot of money, you always, if you're going to be in the sales industry and you want to close deals, you got to be hungry. You got to show people that this really matters. Here's a really big one, being empathetic. You really listen and you really care about your clients and what their needs are. So a lot of times, people go in and they don't really listen, they don't really care, and that it means a lot to a business owner, a sales, or one of your potential clients when you listen to them and you actually care. You never sell them something or point them in a direction that's not good for them just because you want to make more money. You're very empathetic, so you listen. You're optimistic. You always keep high expectations that a positive outcome will occur. You're also assertive. You know when to be bold at the right time and the right way to either make the appointment or close the deal. You apply the right amount of pressure at the right time. A lot of times sales reps don't get sales because they're not assertive in asking for it at the moment they should. There is a timing in every meeting you're having or sales call you're having when you have to go in and you got to be assertive. And I've heard some people be like, well, they just kept on talking and talking and talking and just talking about the product, talking about, or maybe just forming friendship and all that. but they never got to the point where they were assertive at closing the deal at the right time. And you'll be amazed, actually, business owners appreciate assertiveness when you take control, and when you read the situation, you do it at the right time, they'll actually respect you for that. You're a problem solver. As a sales rep, you're always there to really solve a problem and not just make a sale. The greatest salespeople are people that solve problems. You need more marketing. You need a loan. You want to save some money. You need a website. What do you need? I'm here to solve problems for you. You have real solutions to their problems. You can find solutions for them. And that's what I love about Agora. We're loaded with solutions. We're a business solution company. And if we don't have it, we go find more solutions. We're just there to help. And when you go in with that type of an attitude to help solve a problem, it makes a big difference in getting the sale. Another thing is you're prepared. You walk in, you've done your homework. You've not only done your homework, you have all the materials, you have everything that you need, and you're organized. So when you show up on time, if you're not prepared, you're lacking something you should have brought to the meeting or information. I understand you may not have all of it. You can always say you get back to them. But if there's an unpreparedness about you and they can see that you're just shooting off the cuff of your hip and you don't have all your stuff together, they won't respect that, and they may not do business with you. And you also need everything there to close that deal. Because if you have to go back later and bring something to them that you didn't have with you that you should have had with you, you may not get a second chance on that meeting. So if you have everything you have that you need for that sale, it'll go over better, and you could probably close the deal in that one meeting. So that leads into you being studious. You thoroughly study your product, your client, and their competition. You walk into every meeting 100% ready to go because you study. You know yourself, so you've done all your homework. Here's another one. You're upbeat. There's nothing low energy about you. You keep a good upbeat rhythm to what you're doing and talking about. You know, this is a big deal. You walk in, you're all bummed out. You're like, well, I don't know. What are you doing? And you're just not upbeat about it, and there's low energy. That can hinder the sale. You know, a lot of business owners, they don't got time to waste time. They want someone upbeat, ready to go, got good rhythm to them, happy, and right on point. You're goal-oriented. You have goals. You write them down, talk about them, and do whatever it takes to meet them. This is a really big one. You know, when you set your, it's like having a target. Whatever, you can't hit the center of a target with an arrow if you don't even have a target. So creating a target for yourself is how you can point yourself in what direction and meeting those goals. You're tech savvy. I've seen, when I was doing Yellow Pages, there was one guy that had a pager, and smartphones are coming around. He goes, I'm never going to get a smartphone. I'm never going to do this right. And he stuck to a pager. Can you imagine doing business with a pager nowadays? Some people, they fought when Facebook came around or social media, and they didn't realize like all this tech-savvy stuff was really there to help their game. But one thing about it, if you don't keep up to speed to a certain level, your business owners may not respect you because what happens is they're up to speed, and if they can't find you there, or they can't communicate you quickly or through some of these channels, they may not want to do business with you. So you're tech savvy, you stay up on your game when it comes to technology, you know how to use all the tools needed in today's world to be successful. You are not resistant to new technology, and you're very open to cutting-edge products that you can help you succeed. Another thing is you're organized. You organize your desk, notes, day, time, and everything you do. This helps you find everything you need when you need it the most. So being organized, having everything together, that comes across very well with your clients. You're also respectful. This is important. You are very respectful of people's opinions, time, business, and life. You don't cross boundary lines that you don't belong in. You only go where you're invited. So having a high level of respect, respecting their stuff, respecting their people, respecting their time, this plays a really important role as a sales advisor. You're also a great listener. This is very important. You are very careful to listen more than you talk. You take notice and notes on your clients so you don't forget important things they say. I've seen a lot of sales reps go in and they just talk and talk and talk, and I'll be like, hey, hold on, let's listen here. And you don't realize because you're talking so much, you're not picking up the information and the data you need to actually close the deal. And I've seen people talk themselves right out of deals, and the other person will sit there and listen, and they'll just walk away and go, wow, that person didn't care, didn't even listen to me. So not being a great listener can really hinder your sales. You can even you should get to where you can even repeat back what they say so you know you heard them. You're persistent. You don't easily give up. You're willing to respectfully go the extra mile. Now, being persistent, if you do it too much at the wrong time, it can look like persistent, but really just bugging us. You have to be very careful of this. But you know what? There is a side of not being persistent enough. And because you didn't follow up or follow through, you didn't win over the business. So there's a way of doing without being offensive. You're coachable. You're capable of easily being taught and trained to do something better or more efficiently with a good attitude. So this is really important, you know, being coachable. One thing also when I've started new businesses or I've been a part of new opportunities or maybe I'm selling a new product, I'll go find the number one person in that industry and I'll go talk to them and find out who the best person is and then learn from them. You know, and so always being coachable, not getting offended when someone has criticism is very important. And sometimes your clients might make suggestions to you, and it's a good idea to listen. We also do that when we're talking about, you know, in today's day and age, like with Yelp, people leaving reviews. You know, you should listen to those reviews because I go when I look at those reviews, I can learn a lot about a company, especially if I keep seeing the same thing showing up over and over again. One other thing is you're resourceful. You utilize every resource around you. It's not always about getting more money, but finding how to use and find resources at your fingertips. So a lot of people just waste money or blow money, but you could have a lot of solutions and answers right around you just by being resourceful. Another important thing to a sales rep is you're passionate. You are very into what you do. You actually love what you do. That passion is important because when people see that, they go, wow, they really like their job. And that makes and people respect that. They go, wow, you know, because business owners are passionate about what they're doing, so they want to work with passionate people. With that being said, you're an overachiever. You don't settle for mediocrity. You are not happy with just ordinary results. You are looking to do something amazing when it comes to your sales potential. So just being an overachiever and passionate makes a big difference because a lot of the people you're working with, that's how they are. And so they'll see that in you and respect that. Here's a really important one. You believe in your products or services. If you don't fully believe in the products and services you are selling, then you shouldn't be selling them. If you find a fault in what you're offering, don't offer it. Only offer what you believe in. I'm not the type of person that can sell, you know, a refrigerator to an Eskimo or sell a product that I know is bad and has problems. I can't honestly go in there with a good conscience knowing that if I don't believe in these products, I can't fully sell them to people in all good faith, and that takes my confidence away. So as a salesperson, it's important to me that I believe in my products and my services. If I don't offer them. If I have a problem with one of them, I go either to the owner or I go where and I get those problems resolved. It's not that there's no problems. It's just, is the company willing to work on them? And it's really important because when you believe in your products and services, you go out with a lot more confidence. One other thing is you're a leader. You don't have to be told what to do. You are a leader and others follow your lead. You take charge of your destiny. You're efficient. You perform in the best possible manner with the least waste of time, money, and effort. You're patient. You're not in a hurry, but you're very patient and understand with your clients. Sometimes, you know, if you're impatient, you know, and people can feel that when you're impatient, like looking at your watch, you know, and just an attitude of impatience can really turn people off. You're impeccable with your communication skills. You articulate very well what you are saying. You're to the point and can clearly give a great presentation. You don't talk over people when they're talking. I was working with someone, and every time I talk to them, I go, and they want to talk over me, and I was fighting for the floor. And you want to make careful you're not fighting for the floor. That also gets into listening. You know, when you're more of a listener than a talker, and you talk at the right time, people, you know, when you're interested in them, it really helps in your communication skills. So not talking over people, being able to articulate very clearly, you know, something that has to do with knowing what you're doing. That also gets into not being fearful. When you're fearful, sometimes you can't speak very well can hinder your speech. So a lot of this kind of plays together. Knowing your stuff, being confident, conquering fear, and then just listening can really help you with your communication skills. You're curious. You're curious about your client's business and them personally. You ask great, meaningful questions to help better understand them and what they're all about. When I go to businesses, especially if I don't know anything about it, or even if I do know about their industry, or let's say pest control, I've worked with pest control, but I haven't worked with this pest control company before, so I want to find out how they started, why they started, what motivated them, what are their goals. They want to get really big. I mean, I want to learn how many people they got. Without being nosy, I just show interest. I'm curious about them. And that means a lot to them. And then you start off with that, and then sometimes they'll come back and they'll be curious towards you, but you have to initiate it. And even if they're not curious about you, you're still curious about them. I just like to learn. I like to explore. And I actually really am curious, and I do mean it when I do it. Here's another one. You're focused. You're very focused and keep distractions out of your life so you can give 100% of who you are to clients. Some people are just so distracted, people can pick it up on it. So this follows right in here to attentive. You live in the moment. When you are with a client, you are not multitasking. You don't take phone calls or look at your phone while they're talking. You are not thinking about other things while they're talking to you. You give them your undivided attention. I've seen this so many times where some people are just not focused, especially in today's world with text messaging going on, phone calls and emails, and it's right there at our fingertips. We're used to looking at our phones. You have to be really careful because if someone picks up that you're not attentive, then it can really be a turnoff to them. I know sometimes when I talk to people, they'll be texting on the phone like, well, let me know when you're finished, because they're not giving me their undivided attention. And one thing I've learned about in life, when you're not focused and you're not giving your undivided attention, you're not really engaged and you really can't do a good job at anything. When you're multitasking too much, you don't have enough focus to really be good or really listen to what that person is saying, and therefore you don't get results. But people just walk away feeling like you didn't care about them. And I know when it happens to me, that's how I feel, like, well, that person didn't even care to even listen to me. So, and I really try to watch myself, when I go into a meeting, turn my phone off, or I let them know, like, if it's a really something important going on, I'll say, hey, this will have to come in, hope you don't mind. It'll just take a second, but I even try to avoid that, but sometimes you can't, right? And some people will understand that because they might say the same thing. But when you're giving your attention, you're attentive. You live in the moment. So many people live in 5 moments at one time, and therefore, they don't give their best to any one of them, really. You're a great negotiator. You're willing to negotiate with prices and products. You do your best to listen to your clients, and sometimes you have to meet them in the middle. I love negotiating deals or maybe giving something, or, I'm not trying to force something. I'm listening. There's got to be give and take when it comes to sales. You're self-aware. You're always aware of your surroundings, yourself, and your client. You pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what they're wearing. Pay attention to what you're wearing. How are you dressed? How are you carrying yourself? What's going on in the room? What's happening around? You walk in. And one thing I learned a lot from the Navy SEALs when I was looking at the snipers. And so we just got talking about, being attentive. Now they have a thing that they call front side focus. And what that means is there could be a lot of stuff going on in war. They call it situational awareness. But when a sniper, they're very focused on what they're doing. So in the back of the mind, they can see what's going on, but they have front side focus. They're very aware to get their job done. Here's another good one. You're fast. You don't waste time. When something needs to get done, you get right on it. You don't make others wait too long for things they ask for. So in sales, by just taking too long to get something done or something they ask for or getting back to them can make a big difference. The faster you are, the better. I know in real estate, people when they submit a form and if someone calls in 1 to 2 minutes, people respect that. Like, wow, that person called me quick. They're going to be very attentive to me, or they're going to get things done that I want done. Taking too long and not being fast can really hinder sales. Or someone can come in and close a deal around you. You're persuasive. You are very convincing. You have the ability to appeal to your clients and reasoning because of this, they believe and trust what you were saying. You have to be persuasive. You got to believe what you're saying, right? If you're not persuasive, if you don't believe it, how are they going to believe it? You're a team player. You work well with others. People want to see that you work well with others. You know, you can't be having an attitude, but the people who, oh, well, people pick up on that. When you make little side comments, you might think that you're bonding into them or being real, but if they see that you don't work well with your people you're around or your boss, they will not respect you. You're a team player and care about how things affect other people you work with. You're willing to roll up your sleeves and help when and where needed. How they see you interact with other people and people around you and or your sales team makes a big difference. And you might be thinking that you're bonding and being real with them, and they're thinking like, well, wow, this person, is a troublemaker. You're kind-hearted. You're just downright a nice person. You care about others and not just yourself. Just being nice is a big deal. A closer. Last, but definitely not least, you just know how to close deals. You study, prepare, and walk in ready to close deals. You're not here to just talk to people or teach people about your products or services. Yes, you listen. Yes, you do all these things we talked about. But at the end of the day, you're a closer. You're here to close deals. You are here to close the deals. You know you have the goods, and you do what you came to do, and you just do it. So, like I said, these characteristics were not numbered because all of them are equally important. So when you look at this, going back through here without digging each one of them, we put these in here because any one of these things could be a deal breaker, and you don't know which one. But when you're a sales agent, you want to be successful, and you want to do the best you can, and you're looking to make a living. If you don't honestly look at yourself in each of these areas, you may not realize, and it's sometimes, and this is kind of where coaching can come in, because someone can be honest with you and say, look, you're just a negative person, or look, you're not punctual, or man, I don't feel you got integrity, or so, coaching is really good, and especially if you're really open to it. And you might get mad, might get upset. You might even think that you're doing good in one of these areas, but it's nice for someone else to say, look, this is where I see some of your weaknesses, because a lot of people may not tell you this, but they think it. And when it comes to sales, it can be deal breakers. So here you're working hard to make a living, and people just realize, like, wow, this person just doesn't have good character. And you have to, and you could have a lot of these going on. Like, you could be really good at a lot of these. But one of them, sometimes it just takes one, not being punctual, not being honest, not being hungry, not being empathetic, not being assertive. Not being upbeat. You look through here, just one of these could be the one very thing that takes away from what you're doing. And it's really sad to see it. I've seen it in a lot of people in their professions where, they'll be good in a lot of areas, but they won't judge themselves in all areas. And it could be that one thing that really just takes away from how great you could be. And if you're going to succeed in life, you always have to be working on yourself and self-help. And so I recommend you find someone that's just honest with you, because your business could be hurting and you might be thinking it's all these other things, and it's probably just you in one of these areas. And it might hurt to admit that, but if you're honest with yourself, that could be the very thing that could turn your company around. Or you might already know you have a problem in one of these areas. You might even admit these problems. That's not good enough either. Just because you know it, admit it. Maybe you even tell people, hey, I'm terrible at this, or I'm never on time. You can work on all this. And the very fact you don't just shows you, people don't respect that. So the people that are top performers and get to the top of their game, if you want to be an average person, you don't need to work on this stuff. Especially with Agora, people are not employees. They're, you're your own boss. And if you don't motivate and self-discipline yourself, then no one will. And you'll just be out there. So we bring these things up and talk about them. And I will never really get in and tell people, but I deal with a lot of people, and I see this stuff all the time. And I work on this stuff on me all the time, because I know how important it is. And it's taken me years, to work on these areas, work on that. But there's a lot of different characteristics here, and hopefully you go through this and you see these are all very, very important, and they're more important than you even know. Even if no one's told you or saying it, they're still thinking it. So hopefully this has been a help to everyone on the call. This was here not to put anyone down. It wasn't here, we're not trying to beat anyone up. We're just, we're just trying to show you things that matter. Other people, how they view you is very, very important. And if you look at yourself and if anything hit an issue in you and that I was talking about, I would go back and honestly look at it and really do some introspect and look in the mirror and say, wow, is this really going on with me? And take the time, because that makes all the difference in the world. And people are watching everything you say and do. So hopefully this helps you in everything we have going on. We really appreciate everyone here. And these are the characteristics of being an unstoppable salesperson.